Oh, hey everyone. Today we are going to talk about mangoes. We're going to talk about mangoes in little pots. Set this down. We are going to talk about mangoes in bigger pots. And we're also going to talk about mangoes that are positioned and planted at different parts of the orchard and around the orchard. So good stuff today. This is a mango project. So we are in the early stages of developing out the mango and the various varieties that we have. It is a work in progress. We're getting some good success. We are getting some fruit, but I don't want to give the false expectation that everything is all grown out and we've got fruit everywhere. This is the early part of the journey. You guys get to share and partake in some of that journey, and I'm excited to have you along for this. The good news also is that we have a lot of healthy trees that we'll show and spotlight today, and we've got some really good collector's varieties of mango trees. So let's get into it, and let's do it right now. Oh, I forgot to mention, look at these beauties. Look at these guys. These came off the Lancetilla. I did a short on them recently. Huge, look at that. Look how it compares to my head. Massive mangoes. Unfortunately, they came off a little early. They're starting to soften up now. We'll check this one to see if it's ripe. But if you stick around to the end, we'll cut into these, we'll weigh them. We'll show you some of the mangoes that are coming out of the orchard. And I just wanted to quickly, before we turn the camera around, show you these massive mangoes. Look at that, isn't that cool? All right, let's do it. Let's start off with the mangoes in the pots. And here's part of the collection. 4 of these are in pots. I've got another 7 in the ground. We've got the Dwarf Hawaiian that is doing well. I've had this in a pot for about 9 months, 6 months, something like this. This is the Neelum, also about that same length of time. And then the bigger 2 are the ice cream mango as well as the Lancetilla. So the Lancetilla, let's start with this one. Produces incredibly large fruit, huge pieces of fruit. And so they're so big that they'll put pressure on the branches. We're getting fruit off of this tree. I'll share that with you guys. Ones that just recently came off, they blew off due to the wind. But it's not known to be an incredible variety, but it is late season, which is some of what we're trying to do, is get a lot of late season fruit. So it fits in perfect with that, and it's producing. So until the rest of my mangoes catch up, we'll keep that around for sure. This one's a great one. It's ice cream mango. There's still one guy on here. Let's see if I can come around and show you. There's still a mango on there. We didn't get a lot this year. We had a lot last year, I would say about 15. But again, it got hit with a lot of wind pressure. You still see the remnants of it, although it's starting to grow back. And it's sprouting out, and I think this plant is going to be okay in the future. We did get a broken branch that I did a little repair job on. Seems to be doing okay from that. But overall, this is an incredible variety, and a variety that is known to grow very well in pots. We got in a pretty big pot. Let me show you something else. If I had to do this different, I wouldn't do this like this. I wouldn't have put it straight away into a pot this big. I would have stepped it up very slowly. You've got a limited amount of time that a mango will grow in a pot, from the best I can tell. Maybe 10 years, maybe a little longer. But what you want to do is you want to keep the kind of the root system contained in a smaller area, and get it, I wouldn't say root bound, but you wanted to make sure it's using up all those areas within that soil before you let it grow. Again, just kind of thwarting the growth of the roots, because at some point in time, it's going to fill up this whole thing. And at that point, you're probably going to have a tree that may deteriorate. And again, a pot this size is going to take a long time, but I probably could have extended the life longer if I've stepped it up very slowly, you know, one side, a couple of gallons every year, until eventually getting into a pot this size. But anyways, those are the things you learn from. And then these little guys, the Neelum, I'm definitely going to keep in a pot, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Dwarf Hawaiian. May go in the ground. Got to find a place for it. But these are the mangoes that are in pots, and they're all doing pretty well. And 2 of the bigger 2 are producing fruit. which is great. This is the orange sherbet. It's a very sought after variety. People love this variety of orange sherbet. It's the daughter of a variety called lemon meringue, which is much loved as well. It's a sister of lemon zest. And so I'm really excited to have this version in the orchard. It's getting, the rule for letting it bear fruit is that it should be, the bark, the trunk should be about 1 inch in diameter and about 5 feet high and 5 feet wide. We're getting close. We're probably about 3.5 on the height and the width. We're getting close to 1 inch in diameter on the base. So this one could potentially bear fruit next year. I mean, it probably will. The question is, do we let it? We probably will, just because I'll be a little bit impatient, but I don't want to press the boundaries too much. I'll show you in a minute a mango that's very little producing fruit that stunted its growth because it bore the fruit. The other thing is these tarps or shade netting, shade screens, it's about 50%, 50 to 60%. It's pretty heavy because I get pretty hot out here. I'll get many days in the 100-degree plus weather, and we want that shade protection to protect the fruit trees. And it did a really good job. I just recently took this off now that the weather's cooler, but the tree held up pretty well. And most of this damage you see here, that wasn't from the sun. That's actually from the wind over the winter that damaged these leaves. All these new growth happened during the summer, and they look really great. So that's the orange sherbet. Here's a sweet tart. Put this one in the ground a few months ago. Didn't really do much, not much damage, but not much growth. You can see a little bit here. And keep in mind, mangoes in California are not going to grow as easily, almost grow like weeds in Florida and some of the other tropical places. Probably due to the humidity, probably also due to the soil difference. But we can still get it done. It's just that many times it's not going to grow quite as quick. But here is a sweet tart. It's a variety known to do pretty well in California. So we're excited about having that as part of the collection. This one is the Sugar Loaf, a very highly sought after variety. It has, it's known to have sort of a coconut-like flavor. Coconut cream, I believe, is something that a lot of people say it reminds them of if you're really into mangoes. Also, what is it? The Gary, I think, is one of its parentage that's also known to have kind of a coconut flavor. So that's a variety we're excited to have in the orchard. Not growing much, but the leaves look very healthy. Some new growth coming in, but it's slow. And again, these little plants just got in this spring. So hoping for a little bit more growth, but happy that it is looking healthy and it's made it through the summer okay. All right, look at this, cotton candy. And if you see a theme in the names, you'll notice that the varieties I've chosen are kind of on the sweeter side for the most part. I'll show you some others that have probably a little bit more complex flavor. But cotton candy, orange sherbet, sweet tart, sugar loaf. That's kind of reminiscent and exemplifies some of my taste profiles. But there are also, many of them are fairly late season, like the cotton candy. And it's really good because it comes at a time in my orchard when other stuff is not producing. But look at this. We've had a lot of great growth over the summer. Like some of the other ones, I did do some shade, sun protection, shade screening around it. And we got a lot of great growth. It was actually coming above the shade screen. One of the things I'll tell you about shade screen is you don't have to protect the full canopy of the mango. You really want to protect the lower portion of it, the base and the main part of the trunk, and then keep it watered and keep it well moistured. And I find if you do that, it will be pretty successful, and you'll have good results. All right, check this little guy out. And by the way, hopefully you're not picking up too much. There's some truck noise in the background. Hopefully it doesn't distract too much. But check this little guy out. This is oh, I'm sorry. I said the other one was a cotton candy. That last one that we looked at, excuse me, is a fruit punch. That was a fruit punch variety. This is the cotton candy right here. And it's looking pretty poor, actually, if I can be honest. And it's looking poor because I let it bear fruit. Actually, I didn't let it. I had this shade protection around it, and I didn't notice that it fruited. And by the time I noticed it, I decided to go ahead and let it keep there and let it stay the way it is. And man, it's stunted. It has no growth because everything has gone into developing this one little fruit. We are going to get a mango off of it, and it's pretty soft. It literally just came off right now. So we're going to take the opportunity to, it feels like it's ready. We're going to open this up and maybe eat it today. But we caught that real time, which is super cool. The point I want to make is you make a sacrifice. This tree is stunted. How will it rebound for next year? I don't know, but it looks pretty poor and it may not make it. And that's the reason why you want to let your trees grow up a little bit before you actually start letting it bear fruit. Because at the end of the day, you may get a little short-term gain, but it's not going to be worth it in the long term. So have a little bit of patience. Don't do like what I did. Even though I got fruit from it, I got one piece of fruit, and I'm probably not going to get anything next year because it's so stunted. It's probably years away if this thing makes it. All right. So that's the cotton candy. The one right before it was the fruit punch. The smell of this thing is incredible. Wish you guys could smell it. It's really amazing. But the point is that when you have a little bitty tree like that, it's going to stunt the growth. And yes, I got one little fruit off of here, and it's probably going to taste amazing, but in the long term, it's a loss. That tree is stunted. It's not going to produce next year, maybe not the year after, may not produce at all. That tree might be so damaged because it focused all of its attention and energy on this little piece of fruit. It wasn't focused on growing up. It's almost like, you know, breeding animals too young, or, you know, whatever, you know, other analogy you want to make. You know, you want it to get to a certain level of maturity before it starts producing. So don't make that mistake. We are gonna, wow, that's amazing. We are gonna check this out and we're gonna enjoy this little piece of fruit. But that cotton candy is probably gonna have to be replaced. So thought I'd share that with you real quick. Look at that. Don't do it though, but look at it and we're gonna taste it and appreciate it. This one right here is the Maha Chanook. Doing really well. It's in an area separate from the others that is blocked out quite a bit by trees, house, other big trees. Only gets a few hours of sun. So the conditions have been such that it's growing really well, but it remains to be seen how it will produce fruit-wise and whether or not there'll be enough sun to make the fruit taste really good. So Maha Chanook, a little bit more of a complex taste. So one of the reasons why I put it here. I don't think it gets super vigorous, although most mango trees do get big. But I think we'll be able to maintain a decent height on it from what I've seen. And again, we're just trying out different places in the orchard to see where's going to be the best location that the mango trees will grow. And right here is the Maha Chanook. Doing very well. It's grown quite a bit over the summer. This little guy or gal, the Angie, literally 10 feet away from the previous mango, and planted just about the same time. Completely different experience. Hasn't grown much. Leaves look okay, but there's very little signs. Looks like a little bit. We get in close. It's trying to sprout out right there at the top. And this one's going to be much slower, but this is the Angie. It's known to be a good tasting mango when it's ripe. And another variety it's not known to get too vigorous, which is why I kind of put it in this area and put some of the ones that grow a little bigger up on the hillside over yonder where there's much more space. So anyways, that's kind of concludes the spotlight of the various mangoes. We got 11 varieties. Let's run through them real quick. In the pots, we've got we got the Lancetilla, we've got the ice cream, we've got the Neelum, and we have the Dwarf Hawaiian. In the ground, we have this one, the Angie. In this section with it is also the Maha Chanook. And then on another level, that I have on the hillside. We've got several. We've got the sweet tart, the orange sherbet, the fruit punch, the sugar loaf, and the cotton candy that had the little baby fruit on it. So anyways, that kind of wraps up the portion of this video that has the mangoes planted in the ground. All right, we're gonna put a wrap on today's episode, and we spotlighted the mangoes and some of the fruit that's coming out of the orchard. We learned a few things, and one of the things we learned is that you can get fruit pretty early in your orchard, but you also want to make sure that your trees are taking time, that you let them grow out and build their base before you start letting them bear fruit. You want them to be stable and productive. We learned that heat is a challenge in hot areas, but you can protect that with a little bit of shade cover. The bigger damage I'm having in my orchard is actually coming from wind pressure. So if you have them in pots, there are things that you can do to move them out of the wind, and you want to take advantage of that when you can. And then, I think the third thing is you just got to have a little bit of patience. You got to let it develop and let it grow out. There is a saying in orchard culture that goes like this: the best time to start planting an orchard is 5 years ago. The next best time is right now. So think about that. Let that resonate with you a little bit. And when you want to start something, particularly an orchard, plan it out a little bit, figure out where you want to put the stuff. But at certain points, you actually got to get started and get involved and get going. And the sooner that you do that, the quicker you'll get to success. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you joining. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. And we'll see you next time. All right, these are the mangoes that came off the tree. Again, from the wind blowing, it came off early. I think they could have hung on the tree for another couple of weeks. Lancetilla variety. I'm going to cut one of these open and cut this one open. I've been putting this one in let me just show you real quick, in a paper bag. So putting it in a paper bag helps it to ripen up quicker. The one in the middle I've been leaving out, just out in the open. And this one here I put in the refrigerator. So this is going to ripen first, second, and third most likely, because putting it in the cold slows down the ripening process. Paper bag speeds it up. Give you a little sense of scale. The pomegranate just came out of the orchard, and a red Fuji apple came out of the orchard today. Let's move it around. Look how it dwarfs it. Got a scale here. It's in pounds. The tray, it's going to be, let's try that again. The tray, the bowl weighs 1 pound, 9 ounces. Let's put the big one in first. The big mango in. Goes up to 3 pounds, 12 ounces. So that is 2 pounds, 3 ounces just on this one mango. It's 2 pounds, 3 ounces. That's incredible. Let's take that one out. Let's measure the next one. I think this is the second heaviest. So 3 pounds, 5 ounces. That's doing quick math in my head, about 6 ounces, 9 ounces, something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. About 1.5 pounds. And this one here is probably going to be close to 1.5 pounds as well. All right, so let's put them all together. Got this bad boy at 2 pounds, 3 ounces. Let's put them all in here. And we've got almost 5 pounds, almost 6 pounds of fruit just between 3 mangoes. They are massive, beautiful things. All right, so I just wanted to share that. I think the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to cut these boys open and partake in the actual mango. We're gonna try one out. All right, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna cut the one that was in the paper bag. I am not a mango expert. But what I've learned is that varieties feel, smell, of course, taste different. And when they're ripe depends very much on what kind of variety it is. So again, I'm not an expert and I've never tasted fruit from this variety, so I have no idea exactly when it's ripe. However, it is starting to have a little bit of give. And I think I need to try one of the three out to see if it's ready. It's been sitting out for a week, 4 days and then 3 days in a paper bag. So it's been about a week. Again, they came off a little bit early because of the wind. My guess is this side that's getting the color is gonna be either ripe or maybe even overripe compared to the other side. We'll see. If it's ripe, I think it's gonna be the sweeter side. Hopefully it's not overripe. But that's what we're working with. All right, let's cut it open. All right, look at this. Kind of bright orange colored in certain spots, mango, green on one side. This is the cotton candy. It's supposed to be really sweet. One was on the tree, fell off. And now we're going to enjoy this one mango that came ripe off of that tree. The smell is incredible. It should be at its perfect ripeness. Again, I just grabbed it and it fell off. I didn't even pull it. So I think it's really ready. All right, let's check it out. Look at the color. Bright yellow, orangish color. Look at the juice in there. Can you see that? Looks incredible. All right, going in for first taste. I can see why people say mangoes are their favorite. I can absolutely understand that. I'm determined not to call it my favorite fruit because so many other people have mangoes as their top fruit. But it's up there. It's pretty good. I've had some off my ice cream mango that were better. But again, this was such a small tree, very immature tree that produced it. But it's better than anything I've ever eaten in a store. Cotton candy.